It's great to be with you today. I want to talk to you about the power of prayer. You see, prayer is not just something we do out of routine. It's not just words we say before a meal or a ritual we perform in difficult times. No, prayer is powerful. Prayer moves mountains. Prayer changes things. Maybe today you're facing a situation that seems impossible. You've done everything you know to do. You've worked hard, stayed faithful, tried to be positive, but nothing is shifting. Let me encourage you. Something happens when you pray. When you pray, you're inviting the Creator of the universe to step into your situation. You're tapping into a power greater than your own. You may not see it yet, but God is working behind the scenes. He's lining up the right people, moving obstacles out of the way, arranging things in your favor. There was a man in Scripture named Daniel. He prayed faithfully, and for 21 days, it seemed like nothing was changing. But what he didn't realize was that the moment he prayed, God sent an angel with the answer. The delay wasn't denial. There was spiritual warfare in the unseen realm, but the answer was on the way. Maybe your answer is on the way. I love what it says in James 5:16. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. Your prayers are powerful. They are making a difference. Don't be discouraged if you don't see immediate results. Keep praying, keep believing, keep expecting, because at the right time, in the right way, God is going to show up, and you'll see something happens when you pray. When you pray, you are not simply speaking into the air, hoping that something might change. You are making a divine connection with the Creator of the universe. You are engaging in a conversation with the one who holds all power, all wisdom, and all authority. You're stepping into a supernatural realm where things shift, doors open, and miracles unfold. It's easy to look at prayer as something routine, something ordinary. People pray before meals, at bedtime, or in times of trouble. But prayer is not just a ritual. It is a powerful force that activates heaven. It is a lifeline between you and God, a direct access point to divine wisdom, strength, and breakthrough. The moment you pray, something shifts in the atmosphere. Even if you don't see it right away, even if circumstances appear unchanged, know this: things are moving in the unseen realm. There are times in life when we face obstacles that seem impossible to overcome. A medical report that doesn't look good, a financial struggle that feels overwhelming, a relationship that seems beyond repair. You might look at the situation and think, there's nothing I can do. I've tried everything. I've exhausted every option. But prayer is never a last resort. It is the most powerful action you can take. When you pray, you are not relying on your own ability, your own strength, or your own wisdom. You are inviting God into your situation, and He can do what you cannot do. He can make a way where there is no way. Think about the times in Scripture when people prayed and miraculous things happened. When Peter was locked in prison, the believers prayed. It seemed like there was no hope. He was chained, guarded by soldiers with no way of escape. But as they prayed, an angel was sent to his cell. The chains fell off and the prison doors swung open. Prayer released the supernatural power of God. Or consider Hannah, a woman in the Bible who desperately wanted a child but was unable to conceive. She prayed with passion and faith, pouring out her heart before God. Others mocked her. Some thought she was wasting her time. But she understood that prayer wasn't just empty words. It was the key to unlocking the impossible. In time, God answered her prayer, and she gave birth to a son, Samuel, who became one of the greatest prophets of Israel. Maybe today you find yourself in a place where you've been praying for something, but you haven't seen the results yet. You've been asking, believing, standing in faith, but it feels like nothing is changing. Let me encourage you, just because you don't see it doesn't mean God isn't working. The moment you pray, things begin to shift. God hears every prayer. He sees every tear. He knows every burden weighing on your heart. There are battles that you don't have to fight in your own strength. There are obstacles you don't have to try to move on your own. When you pray, God fights for you. He sends angels on assignment. He changes people's hearts. He opens doors that no one can shut. There is power released when you pray. Sometimes We don't recognize the significance of prayer because we are so focused on immediate results. But prayer is not always about getting what we want instantly. It's about aligning our hearts with God's will. It's about trusting His timing even when we don't understand. It's about believing that He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating things for our good. There's a story about a farmer who plants seeds in the ground. Day after day he waters them, but for a long time nothing seems to happen. If he were to judge based on what he sees, he might think, this isn't working, nothing is changing. But what he doesn't realize is that beneath the soil, the seeds are breaking open, roots are growing, and something is happening. In time, what was planted in faith will break through the surface and produce a harvest. Prayer works the same way. Just because you don't see an immediate result doesn't mean your prayers aren't making a difference. Maybe you've been praying for a loved one to change, for a door to open, for a situation to turn around, and it seems like nothing is happening. Let me remind you, something is happening. God is working in ways you cannot see. He is softening hearts, lining up opportunities, preparing you for what's ahead. The enemy would love for you to give up. He would love for you to think that prayer doesn't matter, that it's a waste of time. But that's because he knows how powerful it is. He knows that when you pray, heaven moves. He knows that when you stand in faith, strongholds break. So don't be discouraged if things don't change overnight. Don't let delays make you doubt. Keep praying, keep believing, keep standing. Your prayers are making a difference. The doors that seem closed right now may suddenly open. The situation that looks hopeless may turn around in an instant. When you pray, you are not alone. You are not speaking into an empty void. You are connecting with the God who created the heavens and the earth. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who brought down the walls of Jericho, who raised Lazarus from the dead. He is the one listening to your prayers. Be confident in this. God hears you. He sees you. He is working on your behalf. It may not happen the way you expect, but it will happen in His perfect time. Keep praying because something is happening. There are moments in life when it feels like no one is listening. You pray, you cry out, you ask for answers, but all you hear is silence. It's easy to wonder, does God really hear me? Does He see what I'm going through? The truth is, every prayer that leaves your lips reaches the heart of God, even when you don't see an immediate response, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Know this, your words are not in vain. They are heard, they are remembered, and they are powerful. In times of uncertainty, it's natural to doubt. You may be facing a difficult situation right now, and it seems like heaven is quiet. You've been asking for a breakthrough, for healing, for a new opportunity, yet the situation remains unchanged. But let me remind you, just because you don't see movement doesn't mean God is not working. Every time you pray, something is happening behind the scenes. Think about a child calling out to a parent. Even if the parent is in another room, they hear that voice. They recognize it instantly because it belongs to someone they love. In the same way, when you pray, your voice reaches the ears of God. He doesn't ignore you. He doesn't push your requests aside. He listens with love, with compassion, with the heart of a father who cares deeply for his children. There are countless stories in Scripture of people who prayed and didn't see an answer right away. Yet their prayers were not forgotten. Their cries were not ignored. One of those people was Zechariah. He and his wife Elizabeth wanted a child for years. They prayed, they believed, yet nothing happened. Time passed and it seemed like their window of opportunity had closed. But what they didn't realize was that God had heard them the first time they prayed. The answer wasn't denied, it was simply delayed for the right time. When the moment came, an angel appeared to Zechariah and said, "Your prayer has been heard." What they had been waiting for all those years suddenly became reality. There may be things you have been praying about for a long time, and it feels like nothing is shifting. You've been faithful, you've stayed in faith, but the situation looks the same. Be encouraged. God has heard you. He hasn't forgotten your prayers. They are stored up, waiting for the perfect moment to be released. Sometimes the waiting can feel overwhelming. You see others receiving their answers, walking in their blessings, moving forward while you remain in the same place. It's tempting to believe that maybe your prayers don't matter as much, that maybe God has overlooked you, but that is not true. He is always listening. He sees your tears, He knows your heart, and He is working things out in ways you cannot yet understand. In the book of Daniel, we see another example of a prayer being heard immediately, even though the answer was delayed. Daniel had been praying and fasting for 21 days, seeking direction from God. At first, nothing seemed to change, but then an angel appeared to him and said, "From the moment you prayed, your words were heard. However, there had been spiritual opposition that delayed the response." This story reminds us that just because we don't see something happening right away doesn't mean our prayers are ineffective. There are things happening in the unseen realm, battles being fought, obstacles being removed. It's easy to grow weary in prayer, to feel like giving up when you don't see results. But imagine if Daniel had stopped praying on day 20. He would have missed out on the breakthrough that was already on its way. In the same way, you may be closer to your answer than you think. Don't let delay make you doubt. Don't allow silence to discourage you. Keep praying, keep trusting, because God has heard every word. Even when we don't see the evidence of answered prayer right away, there are often signs that God is working. Have you ever prayed about a situation, and even though the problem didn't disappear, that peace is evidence that God is near? It's His way of reassuring you that He is in control, that He has heard you, and that He is taking care of what concerns you. There are times when God answers prayers in ways we don't expect. We may be looking for one specific outcome, but He provides something even greater. Maybe you prayed for a certain job and the door closed. It's easy to feel disappointed, but what if that door closing was actually God protecting you from something that wasn't meant for you? What if He has something better in store? The key is to trust that He hears you even when the answer doesn't come in the way or the timing you expect. Faith is believing that God is working even when you don't see it. It's knowing that His silence is not His absence and His delays are not His denials. If you've been praying and it feels like heaven is quiet, don't be discouraged. God is listening. Your prayers are being recorded. Your faith is being strengthened, and at the right moment, you will see the results. Until then, keep praying, keep believing, keep holding on, because the one who hears you is faithful, and He will answer in His perfect time. There are moments in life when you feel like you're standing at a locked door, knocking, waiting, hoping for it to open. You've done everything you know how to do. You prayed, you believed, you stood in faith, but it seems like nothing is happening. The opportunity you've been waiting for still hasn't come. The situation you've been praying about hasn't changed, and the breakthrough you've been expecting still feels out of reach. It's easy to get discouraged, to start wondering if things will ever turn around. But what you may not realize is that something is already shifting in your favor. The process has already begun. The moment you pray, the door starts unlocking, even if you can't see it yet. There are forces working beyond what is visible, arrangements being made behind the scenes, details being aligned in ways you couldn't orchestrate on your own. Sometimes what looks like a delay is actually divine preparation. The answer is already on the way. The opportunity is being set up. Just because you don't see it yet doesn't mean it's not happening. Think about how seeds grow. When a farmer plants a seed, he doesn't see anything happening right away. The ground looks the same. There's no visible evidence that anything is taking place. But underneath the surface, that seed is breaking open. Roots are beginning to form, and growth is happening. Just because it's unseen doesn't mean it's not real. Then one day, that seed pushes through the soil, and what was growing all along finally becomes visible. In the same way, when you pray, things are shifting in the unseen realm. Your prayer sets things in motion, and at the right time, what was happening beneath the surface will become clear. One example of this is found in the story of Elijah. After years of drought, he prayed for rain. He sent his servant to look for any sign of clouds, but the servant came back and said, "There's nothing." Elijah didn't give up. He kept praying. He kept believing. He sent the servant back again and again. And each time the answer was the same: nothing. But Elijah understood something. Just because he didn't see it yet didn't mean it wasn't happening. He kept standing in faith. And on the seventh time, the servant finally saw a small cloud rising in the distance. It wasn't much, just a tiny cloud. But that was all Elijah needed. He knew it was the beginning of the breakthrough. You may be in that place right now, looking out over your situation and seeing nothing. You've checked again and again, and things appear the same. But just like Elijah's servant, if you could see into the unseen realm, you'd know that something is shifting. The answer is closer than you think. The breakthrough is on the way. Sometimes the door that needs to open isn't external, it's internal. Before you can step into the new season, something inside you has to be prepared. There are times when God is working on you, refining your character, building your strength, increasing your faith, so that when the door does open, you're ready for it. If the opportunity came too soon, if the breakthrough arrived before you were ready, it wouldn't be a blessing, it could become a burden. That's why in some seasons, it feels like nothing is happening, but in reality, everything is happening. Think about Joseph. He had a dream that he would one day lead and have great influence. But before that could happen, he went through years of difficulty. He was betrayed, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned. If he had looked at his situation in those moments, he might have thought, nothing is working out for me. My prayers aren't making a difference. But what he couldn't see was that every challenge was actually a step toward his destiny. Every setback was part of the setup. If he hadn't gone through the process, he wouldn't have been prepared for the position. You may feel like you're in a pit right now, stuck in a situation that seems unfair, waiting for a breakthrough that hasn't come. But what if this is part of the process? What if this is actually preparing you for something greater? Instead of getting discouraged, start expecting. Instead of thinking nothing is happening, remind yourself that everything is happening. Just because you don't see the door opening yet, doesn't mean it's not unlocking. There are times when the door is open, but you have to take a step of faith to walk through it. Some people wait for everything to be perfectly in place before they move forward. They wait for all the conditions to be just right, for all the details to be clear. But faith doesn't work that way. Faith moves even when it doesn't see the full picture. Faith takes action even when there's uncertainty. Sometimes the answer to your prayer is waiting on you to take that step. Look at Peter when he walked on water. He was in the boat, surrounded by waves, and he saw Jesus walking toward him. He wanted to do the impossible, but he had to take a step first. If he had waited until the water became calm, he never would have walked on water. The miracle happened after he took the first step. Maybe you've been praying for something, and you're waiting for a clear sign, for all the conditions to be just right before you move. But what if the breakthrough is waiting for you to step out? What if the door is already unlocked and all you have to do is push it open? There are moments in life when you have to move forward in faith even when you don't see the full picture. The path may not be completely clear, but that doesn't mean you're on the wrong track. The timing may not look perfect, but that doesn't mean the opportunity isn't right. When you take a step of faith, when you move forward, even in uncertainty, you activate something in the supernatural. No matter what situation you're facing today, don't be discouraged. Even if you can't see anything happening yet, trust that something is shifting. The prayers you've prayed, the faith you've stood on, the tears you've cried, none of it has been wasted. At the right time, in the right way, the breakthrough will come. The door will open. The opportunity will present itself. And when it does, you'll realize that the answer had been on the way all along. Keep believing, keep expecting, because something is happening. Life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges our way. One moment, everything seems to be going well, and the next, we find ourselves overwhelmed by worry, fear, and uncertainty. The weight of financial struggles, health concerns, family issues, or career setbacks can feel like too much to bear. It's in these moments that the mind races with what ifs. What if things don't improve? What if the situation gets worse? What if I never see a breakthrough? The anxiety builds, the stress mounts, and before we know it, we're consumed by worry. But there is something powerful that happens when you turn to prayer in the midst of these struggles. It shifts your focus. It takes your eyes off the problem and puts them on the one who holds the solution. Instead of carrying the burden alone, you place it in the hands of someone who is infinitely stronger, wiser, and more capable. It doesn't mean that all of your problems disappear instantly, but something changes on the inside. The very act of praying creates a shift. The weight of worry starts to lift. The fear that once seemed so overwhelming begins to lose its grip. Imagine a child carrying a heavy backpack, struggling under the weight of it. They try to keep moving forward, but every step is difficult. Then their parent comes along and says, "Let me carry that for you." The child hands over the backpack, and suddenly the load is gone. The journey that once felt impossible now feels lighter. This is what happens when you pray. You are handing over the weight of your worries to a loving Father who is more than able to carry them. Many times we hold on to stress and anxiety because we feel like we have to figure everything out on our own. We think if I just worry enough, maybe I can find a solution. If I analyze this from every angle, maybe I can fix it. But worry doesn't solve problems. It doesn't move us forward. It only drains our energy and steals our joy. Prayer, on the other hand, does something worry never can. It brings peace. It reminds you that you are not alone, that God is in control, and that He is working all things together for your good. There's a story in the Bible about Jesus and His disciples on a boat. A fierce storm arose and the waves were crashing against them. The disciples were terrified. They thought they were going to drown, but where was Jesus? He was asleep. He wasn't worried. He wasn't panicking. The storm didn't shake Him. When the disciples woke Him up, He stood, rebuked the storm, and suddenly there was complete peace. This is what happens when you pray. You might be in the middle of a storm, but you don't have to be shaken by it. You don't have to let fear take over. Instead, you can turn to the one who calms the storm. You can rest in the knowledge that He is with you, that He is for you, and that no situation is beyond His power. Sometimes the storm outside doesn't stop right away, but the storm inside you does. The situation may not change overnight, but your heart does. You begin to feel a sense of peace that doesn't make logical sense. It's a peace that goes beyond understanding, a peace that can only come from God. Think about Daniel. He was thrown into a den of lions because he refused to stop praying. Most people would have been filled with fear, panicking about what was going to happen. But Daniel didn't let worry consume him. He didn't try to fight the situation in his own strength. Instead, he trusted in God. And because of that, he was able to sleep peacefully in the midst of danger. The lions didn't harm him. The situation that should have destroyed him had no power over him. This is what happens when you pray. You may be facing a situation that looks impossible, a challenge that seems too great. But when you pray, you step into a place of peace. You begin to trust that God is in control, that He is protecting you, that He is making a way even when you can't see it. Worry tries to convince you that you have to figure everything out on your own. It whispers lies that make you feel powerless. But prayer reminds you of the truth, that you are not alone, that God is for you, and that He is fighting battles on your behalf. Have you ever noticed how difficult it is to think clearly when you're overwhelmed with stress? Worry clouds your judgment. It makes you feel stuck, unable to see a way forward. But prayer brings clarity. It quiets the noise of anxiety and allows you to hear God's guidance. Sometimes the answer you're looking for comes in the stillness. When you take a moment to pray, to step away from the chaos and refocus on God, you begin to see things differently. The problem that seems so impossible suddenly doesn't feel so overwhelming. Solutions become clearer. Strength rises up inside you. The enemy would love for you to stay stuck in worry. He knows that if he can keep you anxious, he can keep you from stepping into the blessings God has for you. But you don't have to fall into that trap. You have a weapon stronger than worry. You have prayer. And when you use it, fear loses its power. No matter what you're facing today, you don't have to carry the burden alone. You don't have to let stress and anxiety rule your life. You have a God who is bigger than any problem, stronger than any obstacle, and more powerful than any fear. When you pray, you are placing your trust in Him. You are saying, God, I can't do this on my own, but I know you can. And in that moment, peace begins to replace worry. Fear begins to lose its grip. Hope begins to rise. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, the next time fear tries to take hold, don't let worry steal your peace. Instead, turn to prayer. Take a deep breath, step away from the chaos, and remind yourself that you are not in this alone. Your prayers are heard. Your struggles are seen. And the one who calms the storm is already at work in your situation. Things may not change immediately, but something changes within you. You begin to walk differently. You begin to see your situation with new eyes. You may not have all the answers yet, but you have peace. And that peace is a reminder that God is with you, guiding you, strengthening you, and making a way where there seems to be none. So keep praying, keep trusting, keep believing, because something powerful happens when you pray, and one of the greatest gifts you receive is peace. There are times in life when you feel stuck, when no matter how much effort you put in, nothing seems to change. You've been working hard, believing, and doing everything you can, but the breakthrough still hasn't come. It's easy to feel discouraged, to wonder if things will ever shift in your favor. But what you may not realize is that every time you pray, you are creating movement. Even when it seems like nothing is happening, something is being set into motion. Think of a locked door. You push on it, but it won't open. You try again, but it remains shut. In frustration, you might think, what's the point? What you can't see, though, is that with each push, something is shifting inside the lock. A mechanism is turning, pieces are falling into place. Then, at just the right moment, with one final push, the door swings open. Prayer works the same way. Every time you pray, you are applying pressure in the spiritual realm. You may not see the immediate effect, but something is changing. The lock is shifting. The obstacle is weakening. The breakthrough is getting closer. There is a great example of this in the Bible with Joshua in the city of Jericho. God told Joshua to march around the walls of the city for 6 days. Then on the seventh day, they were to march 7 times and shout. At first, it must have seemed strange. They were walking, but nothing was changing. The walls looked the same. The city remained shut, and there was no visible sign that anything was happening. But just because they couldn't see it didn't mean things weren't shifting. What they didn't realize was that with each step, the foundation of those walls was weakening. The pressure was building. And then, at just the right moment, when they lifted their voices, the walls came crashing down. This is what happens when you pray. Each prayer is like another step around your Jericho. You may not see the cracks forming, but something is happening. The walls that have been standing in your way, the obstacles, the barriers, the delays are weakening with every prayer you speak. And if you keep pressing forward, there will come a moment when everything shifts and what seemed impossible will suddenly fall into place. Many times people stop praying right before their breakthrough. They get discouraged because they don't see immediate results and they think their prayers aren't making a difference. But what if you're only one prayer away from the walls coming down? What if your answer is just around the corner? The enemy knows that your prayers carry power. That's why he tries to make you believe they aren't working. He wants you to give up before you see the breakthrough, but you have to keep pushing, keep declaring, keep believing, because every time you pray, the resistance weakens. The spiritual opposition that has been blocking your blessing is losing its grip. Daniel experienced this firsthand. In the book of Daniel, he prayed and fasted for 21 days, seeking an answer from God. For the first 20 days, it seemed like nothing was happening. But then on the 21st day, An angel appeared to him and said, "From the moment you prayed, your words were heard." The answer had been sent immediately, but there was spiritual resistance that delayed it. What if Daniel had stopped praying on day 20? What if he had given up and assumed his prayers weren't making a difference? He would have never seen the breakthrough. But because he kept pushing, the answer eventually broke through. The same is true for you. Your answer might already be on the way, but there is opposition trying to block it. The delays you're experiencing are not because God isn't listening. They're because something is fighting against the release of your blessing. That's why you can't afford to stop now. Keep praying, keep standing, keep pressing forward. Prayer is not just about asking for things. It's about creating movement. It's about shifting things in the spiritual realm so that they manifest in the physical. Think about water dripping onto a rock. One drop alone doesn't seem to do much, but when drop after drop continues to fall, over time, it wears away even the hardest surface. Eventually, the rock breaks. The same principle applies to your prayers. Each one may seem small, but together they are wearing down the resistance, breaking through the obstacles and making a way where there was none before. There may be something in your life right now that feels unmovable, like a wall too strong to break, a problem too big to solve. But don't underestimate the power of persistent prayer. The walls of Jericho didn't fall on the first day, but they did fall. Daniel didn't receive his answer on the first day, but it did come. The enemy wants you to believe that your prayers are ineffective, but the truth is they are working. The process is in motion. The pressure is building. The breakthrough is closer than you think. Sometimes the shift happens internally before it happens externally. Before you see change in your situation, you may notice a change in yourself. You begin to walk with more confidence, to speak with more boldness, to carry yourself with greater faith. That's because prayer is not just changing your circumstances, it's changing you. It's strengthening your spirit, aligning your mindset, and preparing you for the blessing that's coming. When you start to see things differently, when you begin to walk in faith even before the answer comes, that's a sign that your breakthrough is near. That's a sign that the walls are about to fall. So don't stop praying. Don't stop believing. Even when it feels like nothing is happening, know that something is shifting. You are setting things into motion. The locked doors are being unlocked. The barriers are being broken. And at the right time and the right way, you will see the results of your persistence. The walls didn't fall after one prayer, but they did fall. The answer didn't come after one request, but it did come. The movement may be invisible at first, but it is happening. And if you keep pressing forward, you will see the breakthrough that has been waiting for you all along. There are moments in life when you pray and it feels like nothing is changing. You pour out your heart, you believe, you stand in faith, yet the situation looks the same. The problem still exists, the challenge remains, and the breakthrough hasn't come. It's easy in those moments to think, maybe my prayers aren't working. Maybe God isn't listening. But what you don't realize is that something is happening behind the scenes. Just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean your prayers are ineffective. Think about when you plant a seed in the ground. You water it, make sure it gets sunlight, and take care of it. But for a while, it looks like nothing is happening. The ground looks the same. There's no sign of growth. You might start to wonder, is this even working? But underground, something is happening. The seed is breaking open, roots are forming, and a foundation is being laid. Then one day, what was hidden beneath the surface suddenly breaks through and you see the first sprout. That's how prayer works. When you pray, you are planting seeds. Even if you don't see the results immediately, something is shifting beneath the surface. God is working in ways you can't see. The pieces are coming together. The right people are being put in place and doors are being prepared to open. In the Bible, Joseph went through years of difficulty. He was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison for something it seemed like nothing was going right for him. But what Joseph didn't realize was that during all those years of waiting, God was positioning him for something greater. Behind the scenes, God was orchestrating circumstances so that at the right moment, Joseph would be elevated to a position of power, second only to Pharaoh. If Joseph had judged his situation based on what he could see, he might have given up. He might have thought, God has forgotten about me. My prayers aren't making a difference. But in reality, God was setting the stage for something far bigger than Joseph could have imagined. That's what happens when you pray. You may not see the full picture, but God does. He knows what needs to happen. He knows who needs to be moved, what doors need to be opened, and what timing is best. Sometimes the reason you don't see an immediate change is because what God is working on is bigger than what you expected. You might be praying for something small, but God has something greater in store. He's not just answering your prayer, He's preparing you for something beyond what you asked for. A delay doesn't mean denial. The time between when you pray and when you see the answer is often a time of preparation. Just like a seed needs time to grow strong roots before it breaks through the ground, sometimes you need time to grow, to develop, to be ready for what's coming. There's a story in the Bible where Jesus was close friends with a man named Lazarus. One day Lazarus became very sick. His sisters, Mary and Martha, sent word to Jesus asking him to come quickly. They knew that if Jesus arrived in time, He could heal their brother. But instead of coming immediately, Jesus delayed. He waited for several days. By the time He arrived, Lazarus had already died. Mary and Martha were heartbroken, thinking that it was too late. They had prayed, they had believed, but it seemed like their prayers weren't answered in time. But what they didn't realize was that Jesus had a bigger plan. He wasn't just going to heal Lazarus. He was going to raise him from the dead. The delay wasn't a denial. It was setting the stage for something even greater. When Jesus arrived, He called Lazarus out of the tomb, and what seemed like a hopeless situation was turned into a miracle. This is what happens in your life when you pray. You may think that nothing is changing, that the situation is beyond repair, but God is still working. The delay is not wasted time, it's preparation for something greater. There may be times when you pray for something, and instead of things getting better, they seem to get worse. You might think, God, I prayed for healing, but now the report is even more negative. I prayed for restoration, but things look more broken than before. That's because sometimes right before the breakthrough, things get the most difficult. The enemy wants to discourage you, to make you give up before you see the miracle. But those are the moments when you need to stand firm in faith, knowing that God is still in control. Think about a butterfly in a cocoon. When it's time to emerge, it has to struggle to break through. It might seem harsh, but that struggle is necessary. If you were to cut the cocoon open too soon, the butterfly wouldn't be strong enough to fly. The struggle is what prepares it. The same is true for you. The waiting, the challenges, the delays, they are not wasted. They are making you stronger, deepening your faith, and preparing you for what's ahead. In those moments when you feel like giving up, remind yourself that just because you don't see anything happening doesn't mean nothing is happening. Behind the scenes, God is moving. Doors are being opened. People are being shifted into place. And the miracle is being prepared. Maybe today you're in a season where it feels like your prayers aren't being answered. Maybe you've been believing for something, but there's been no sign of progress. You might feel like walking away thinking, what's the point? But don't give up. Keep praying. Keep believing. Because something is happening that you can't see. At the right time, in the right way, what was hidden will come to light. What's being prepared behind the scenes will suddenly be revealed. The breakthrough will come, and you'll look back and realize that every prayer you prayed, every moment you spent believing was never wasted. What you thought was a delay was actually divine timing. What seemed like silence was actually God working in ways beyond what you could understand. And when the answer comes, you'll see that it was worth the wait. So don't lose heart. Don't let discouragement take root. The God who started the work in you is faithful to complete it. Your prayers are not in vain. They are moving things in the unseen realm. They are shifting circumstances, breaking down barriers, and setting the stage for something greater than you imagined. At the right moment, you will see what God has been doing all along. The seed that was planted in faith will break through the ground. The answer that seemed delayed will arrive right on time. And when it does, you'll know that every prayer you prayed was working, even when you couldn't see it, because something is always happening when you pray. When you pray, something is always happening, even when you can't see it. Even when it feels like nothing is changing, God is working behind the scenes. Every prayer you speak is setting things in motion, shifting circumstances, opening doors, breaking down barriers. The walls that seem unmovable are weakening. The resistance is losing its grip, and the breakthrough is closer than you think. Just because you don't see an immediate result doesn't mean your prayers are in vain. Like a seed planted in the ground, something is taking root. The foundation is being laid. The right pieces are coming together. And at the right time, what was once hidden will be revealed. The delay is not a denial. The waiting is not wasted. It's preparation for something greater than you imagine. God's timing is perfect. He knows when and how to bring the answer in a way that will not only bless you, but take you further than you ever expected. The very things that seem to be standing against you, those obstacles, those delays, those closed doors, are setting the stage for a bigger testimony. So don't stop now. Keep believing, keep declaring, keep pressing forward. The walls didn't fall after one prayer, but they did fall. The answer didn't come overnight, but it did come. Your miracle is on the way. Your breakthrough is already in motion. When you pray, you are not just speaking words, you are activating the power of God in your life. And when God moves, no force on earth can stop Him. Keep praying, keep standing, and watch as He turns things around in ways you never imagined. Because something always happens when you pray